You know, I think the coolest thing about doing an anthology on classic Sonic is that most of them can be found easily on the Origins collection. It might have came out in a rough state, but all the updates are in there now and it runs pretty good. The extra content is pretty decent, and the presentation is top notch. Each island on the main menu is based off a different Sonic game. They even have Flicky Island here despite 3D Blast not being part of the collection. I think my favorite feature would have to be the story mode. It basically puts all the games together into one big game. You go from Sonic 1 through Sonic 3 and end with Sonic CD. One after the other with new cutscenes added in to tie it all together. This is easily the best way for me to get footage for the anthology. Fuck you, Eggman! Nice. I love the new animations they made just for the endings. I can't wait to see what they do with Sonic 2. Wait, CD is the sequel to Sonic 1? Damn, the material I was working on was for Sonic 2. Ugh, Sonic's not gonna be here for at least another hour or two, so maybe that'll give me enough time to scrape up something for Sonic CD. I guess it could be worse. I could be covering Sonic Labyrinth. Ugh. If you're strong, you can fly. You can reach the other side of the rainbow. Hey man, I got that Sonic 2 info you were needing for this week's video. It'll have to wait for the next one. Sega switched the order of games on us. Sonic CD is technically the second game. Oh! Yeah. Wait. What do you mean, yeah? Did you know this whole time? I knew, but I forgot. And now I just remembered. Fucking shit. Hey, all I did on the Origins collection is sign off on my likeness. I had nothing to do with anything beyond that. It's fine. Let's get started. Sega! Sonic CD began life as a souped-up port of Sonic 1 for the Sega CD, but that eventually evolved into its own thing. Before development started on the game, a rift began to form between Sonic Team and Sega. Yuji Naka was getting annoyed by the rigid structure of Sega, so he and a handful of other team members hopped over to the United States to the Sega Technical Institute to begin work on Sonic 2. Naoto Oshima would have joined them, but Sega convinced him to stay in Japan to work on Sonic CD. It's crazy to think that there would be issues this early on between Sega and Sonic Team. I guess Sega didn't want all this eggs in one basket. Maybe this was a way of having a backup plan in case the second game didn't work out. While Naka worked on Sonic 2 in America, Oshima gathered a team of people from other Sega properties to work on a Sonic game that would utilize the capabilities of the Sega CD. Using the first game as a basis, they began to tinker with the formula established in the first game. Oshima believed that the freedom they had to create something different could have had something to do with not being under the pressure of having to make the follow-up to one of the biggest games Sega ever created. The result was one of the most unique Sonic games of this era, specifically in terms of gameplay. Before we get into all that, what's going on with this weird-ass game? Yeah, it's weird, but outside of some odd additions, it's consistent across Japan and the US. The main plot is as follows. There is a place on Earth called Never Lake. It's a large, albeit unremarkable lake, except for the fact that 1 month of the year, every year, a planetoid called Little Planet appears there. Little Planet is a mystical place that holds many mysteries. Chief among them is the existence of powerful objects called time stones. Besides the obvious ability to control time, these stones also create miracles as well. When Eggman learns of this, he decides to hijack Little Planet by chaining it to a mountain and encasing the whole damn thing in a metal shell. To aid in this scheme, he creates a powerful new robot to help take over Little Planet. One day, Sonic decides to check out Little Planet on a whim and realizes that it's under siege by Eggman's forces. So, Sonic makes his way up to Little Planet to confront Eggman once again. Also, Amy Rose is up there, a female hedgehog who went to Little Planet after her fortune predicted that she would meet her idol, Sonic, there. This is the basic rundown across both versions of the game. The only major difference is that the US version has Sonic and Amy going to Never Lake together and prior to her getting kidnapped. For some reason, the US version calls Amy Princess Sally, which is somebody totally different I do not have the time to even get into. I think the Archie comic was around for at least a year before Sonic CD or the Sad AM show came out. I'm not sure what Sega of America was thinking. Sally and Amy couldn't be any more different if they tried.
You think that's different? Just wait until you see the gameplay.
Sonic CD adds 2 new moves to Sonic's moveset. First is the spin dash, which will give you a speed boost by pressing down and the jump button. When you release the button, you shoot for it, mowing down anything in your path. The second move is the super peel out, that you do by holding up on the D-pad and then pressing down on the jump button. It acts as a faster spin dash, but you don't get the invincibility of the spin dash.
The spin dash is one of the few things from Sonic 2 that made it over to Sonic CD.
You'd think that they would put the peel out in Sonic 3, but it shows up in some of the Game Gear games for what it's worth.
Other than that, Sonic CD pretty much plays the same as Sonic 1, except for one key difference. Time travel.
So, there are 7 rounds in this game, with 3 acts apiece. While you can just run through each zone as fast as you can, eventually you'll run across these signs that say past or future. You run past one fast enough for long enough, and you start sparking up, and then... boom! You just jump to the past, or the future. How does this work? Okay, so there are 4 time periods you can jump between. You have the present, the past, the bad future, and the good future. The present is the starting point of every zone. If you jump to the future from the present, then you end up in the bad future where Eggman fucked up the planet. If you jump to the past while you're in the present, then you end up in a less developed, more primitive version of the zone that you're in. Okay, where's the good future? Well, that's a side quest. Crap, I forgot. To get the good future, you must go to the past and destroy these things they call robot transporters, which is a machine that Eggman made to send badniks to the past. You destroy that, and the next time you go to the future, it'll be the good version. At least for that act. You gotta do it again for Act 2. What about Act 3? If you get both transporters, then Act 3 puts you in the good future by default. I guess you could say going to the past takes you back to the future.
That was lame. But I like it though, so I'll give it to you.
The hard part is finding the damn things. The US manual never mentions them in any version or revision that's out there. They do get mentioned in the Japanese manual, but that doesn't give you a picture of what they look like, so you just have to go around in the past and find something that's out of place, which is easier said than done. The level design is like a maze because the game is designed around time travel and exploration. This means you have to make sure you're in the right era and you have to search that era for the transporters. There is a subtle hint in the present where you can find some random debris on the ground that'll clue you into where this shit was in the past. So while you could find the closest past sign to that debris in the present and then try to time travel to the past from there, you're usually going to go to the first past sign you can jump from and work your way back to the transporter from where you're at. All this is optional and you could ignore the bullshit and just go through the levels as fast as you can. The downside is that all the levels are really short and you're liable to jump through time accidentally anyway just by fucking around. So either way, you're engaging with Sonic CD's time travel no matter what. That's a lot. Like, I've been through this and I barely understand it.
You could ignore the transporters altogether and just focus on the time stones.
Okay, that part I do remember, and it sucked. So, like Sonic 1, you get 50 rings and jump in the giant ring at the end of the first 2 acts, and you go to a special stage. This time you're in a Mode 7 style arena where you have to jump into all these UFOs before the timer runs out, and it is god awful. To start with, Sonic never stops fucking moving. He keeps moving no matter what you do. You can slow him down some, but there are no parking brakes for this dude. Then there are the UFOs themselves. They are big, yes, but they move in very irregular patterns while hovering over obstacles that you can barely make out or see until you're right about on top of them. The most insidious obstacle will be water, as it acts as an out-of-bounds area, and when you touch it, it takes 10 seconds from your timer.
A timer that only gives you 100 seconds to get them all.
So naturally you're rushing trying to hit all these UFOs, being unable to gauge the distance you need to aim at them because all the shit I laid out before. But if you manage to pull it off 7 times, you can avoid having to hunt for the transporters because they get destroyed by the power of the stones. So, do you want to fuck around with the time travel and hunt for transporters? And holograms for funsies. Or do you want to deal with these fuck-ass special stages? Pick your poison.
Oh, buddy. I guess we found your labyrinth zone for this video, huh?
I don't know. This shit has me feeling some kind of way.
I need some time to gather up my thoughts, so just go ahead and start up zone time and I'll jump in a bit later.
No prob! Before we even break down these zones, we gotta talk about the elephant in the room. The music! The OST for Sonic CD had 2 different soundtracks depending on if you're playing the US or the Japanese/PAL version. The US version can be described as kinda contemporary, while the Japanese version can be described as atmospheric. This also applies to the opening and closing themes, while the US version opens with the iconic Sonic Boom. The Japanese/PAL version gives us Sonic, you can do anything. It's pretty different. Same goes for the ending theme, whereas the US version has a down-tempo version of Sonic Boom, the Japanese/PAL region's got Cosmic Eternity, Believe in Yourself. Whichever version you prefer is a matter of taste. I rock with both, so I'm eating good regardless. Palm Tree Panic. This is the Green Hill Zone of Sonic CD. In fact, every main Sonic game from this era starts in somewhere kinda grassy. The showpiece of this place is the giant ramp in the first act. Nothing like this shows up again in the entire game. The past version isn't as bright as the present, but looks a whole lot healthier than the bad future version. The sky is polluted and all the plants are dead. It's a real drag. In Act 3, you fight Eggman's Egg HBC001 machine. It has bumpers on its arm that knock you back when you jump at him. Just time your hits, smack him 3 times, and you win the fight. HBC001. I think that's the model number for the Famicom. You know what? I think you're right.
Damn, that's some shade.
I give Palm Tree Panic 4 gold plates out of 5. Most Sonic games start out strong, and this one is no exception. Collision Chaos. This zone starts off with the introduction of Amy Rose, a longtime friend of mine. Friend? She don't see it that way. Anyway, she gets abducted by Metal Sonic, one of Eggman's creations, and one of my greatest enemies. From there, I make my way through the mechanized forest with a bunch of pinball, flippers, and bumpers. This zone makes 0 sense. What about the past? Oh, it's more forest than machine. The bad future is dark with pollution, broken machines, and dead plants. The good future is a balance of both, but without the pollution. I think the good future is supposed to embody nature and technology working in harmony together. The past is underdeveloped, and the bad future is a dystopian hellhole. Yeah, that's pretty much how all variations break down at the end of the day. I probably won't mention them again unless something major changes between them. In Act 3, you fight Eggman's Egg Tilter. Eggman doesn't fight you himself, but he traps you in a pinball room where you have to use the flippers and the springs to launch yourself up into him. Hit him 3 times to win. Eggman should just give up the pinball gimmick, that shit never works. The man made a whole fortress out of pinball traps. He never learns. I give Collision Chaos 3 gold plates out of 5. Tidal Tempest. It is the water level, but that's manageable thanks to how large the areas in this game are. You know the deal. Water physics, traps, and bubbles. And the one major difference between the time zone is the water levels. In the past, the water level is much lower than in the present, while in both futures they have the highest water levels thus far. Eggman challenges you with his Egg Bubbler. It's his regular Eggmobile with a bunch of large bubbles shielding him from your attacks. But if you pop all his bubbles, you just have to hit him once and he's through. I give Tidal Tempest 3 out of 5 gold plates. It's mid, but it's worlds better than Labyrinth Zone.
Is it just me or does Eggman seem weaker this time? It seems like all of his Eggmobile upgrades this time are just straight ass.
Maybe trying to industrialize the entire planet has taken up the bulk of his time and resources.
Oh well, I guess he has the second half of the game to turn around, I guess.
Quartz Quadrant. This level takes place in a mine full of conveyor belts. Like, 40% of this level is conveyor belts.
I guess they are mining for crystals?
Well, they stop at some point because either the mining stops completely in the good future or the mine gets stripped and polluted in the bad future. When you fight Eggman this time, he traps you between some spikes and a control booth while running on a conveyor belt. He drops down spike balls while you run, but what he doesn't realize is that he's grinding down the bottom of his control booth on the belt and he ends up burning a hole in the bottom of it.
Looks like he burned his fat ass too.
Not much of a fight, just survive until he self-sabotages. I give Quartz Quadrant 2 gold posts out of 5. I feel like the only interesting thing here are the conveyor belts. Wacky Workbench. Here's our first factory level, and it's chaos incarnate. Your primary obstacles are going to be the giant electric conduits in the background and the flashing checkered bouncy floor in the bottom. Honestly, the conduits are the lesser evil as they work on a timer. The floor will bounce you up and who knows where you'll land or what you'll land into. The good future version is the least annoying to deal with because the conduits are deactivated in this time period.
Isn't it like a toy factory now or something?
Anyway, Eggman fights you in his Egg Razor. He flies up in a rocket and smashes through the ceiling, dropping pieces of the ceiling down on the floor that you need to climb to avoid being shot, and use those to climb up to the next level to hit him. Do this 4 times and you win. I give Wacky Workbench 1 gold plate out of 5. The bouncy floors are fun for about a minute or two until you realize they make getting around the area kind of a pain. Stardust Speedway. This has to be one of the most unique zones in all of Sonic history. It's a highway decorated with brass instruments. Like, who built this and why?
The past version looks cool too. It's like a Greco-Roman style area with vines instead of brass instruments.
Both are kinda mazy. I've gotten lost a bunch of times regardless of the time period. Your opponent in Act 3 is Metal Sonic himself. It's a race across the speedway with Eggman flying behind with a powerful laser. It's not just a straight sprint either. There are plenty of spikes and dips in the road to trip you up.
Metal Sonic has some tricks up his sleeve too. If he's ahead of you, he'll try to zap you with his ring spark field. Or, if he's lagging behind, he'll ram into you with his charge move called the B Maximum Overdrive Attack, which is the coolest attack name in the whole series thus far.
Win the race and Metal Sonic gets scrapped.
Oh, Amy's here too. Great. That's one less thing to worry about. That just leaves Eggman.
I give Stardust Speedway 5 gold plates out of 5. This is probably the best zone in the whole game. Metallic Madness. This is the final zone, and it's a factory level. The first act takes place inside, where the last take place outdoors.
I'll be honest with you. I only remember Act 3 because of the large open area before the final boss. Everything else just blends together in my head. I played this not too long ago, but I can't picture any of it to save my life.
It is the second factory level in the game, so I can understand it not standing out. After taking on some annoying enemies in a locked room, you face Eggman one last time in his Egg Spinner. It's his regular Eggmobile with 4 large blades on it. They spin around, and when you knock one off, the pattern of the blades change. Hit him 4 times and you've saved Little Planet, saved Amy, and defeated Eggman once again. And if you either destroyed all the transporters or gathered all the time stones, you get the good ending. I give Metallic Madness 2 gold plates out of 5. If not for the fact of Wacky Workbench existing, it probably would have gotten 3. I guess Eggman didn't have any better machines after all.
I feel like the masher from the last game was more of a threat.
Oh well, let's talk ports. Sonic CD didn't get many ports. In fact, it was stuck on the Sega CD and PC for almost 15 years until it got ported to the GameCube on the Gems collection. This was a bare bones port of the US PC version and doesn't have the Japanese soundtrack available. The next port wouldn't hit until 2011 on PSN, Xbox Live, Arcade, and Mobile. For a while, this was a definitive port of the game until Origins came out, and the 2011 port was delisted. Sonic CD on Sonic Origins basically has everything the 2011 one had, plus a bit more. So it seems like nothing of value was lost, but it's still kind of a bummer.
Well, have you had time to gather your thoughts?
Yeah, and since I think it ties into how CD impacted the series, we can just start from there. I feel that Sonic CD only gets remembered for three things: Metal Sonic, Amy, and the soundtrack debate. Everything else is just kind of there. Metal and Amy are extremely popular characters, and I'm interested in seeing them both on the big screen in about a year or so. The soundtrack has its fair share of fans of both the US and Japan PAL versions. Overall, I think I lean more towards the Japan/PAL soundtrack, but the US version did give us Sonic Boom and a couple other bangers as well. But beyond that, could you honestly tell me that the levels in this game are as good as Sonic 2 or as memorable as Sonic 1? I doubt it. Outside of Stardust Speedway, everything else here has been done worse or as good as Sonic 1. Sonic 2 zones have more individual identity, and that's mostly because CD is leaning heavily on his time travel gimmick that emphasizes exploration over going fast. That's kind of the exact opposite of what I feel the classic series is about. And if you want a preview of what's to come, Sonic 3D Blast makes the same mistake. The time travel is obtuse. Instead of needing to go fast, they should have just made it a portal you jump through when you pass the sign, like the special zone rings. Oh, and the special zones are fucking horrid. I spent more time on them than anything else. Once again, to preview what's to come, I'm not fond of the special zones in this era because they do weird pseudo 3D shit that's awkward to control. The only reason I got all these zones is because the Origins versions let me retry if I have enough coins to spend. I could not imagine doing this shit on original hardware.
Wow, you are really going for it here.
It's fine, I am almost done. Despite all of that, I think Sonic CD is a great game, but flawed in ways that if I had to play this or Sonic 1, 2, 3, and Knuckles, I would choose any of those instead. It's an interesting and perfectly great game.
I think I see where you're coming from.
Well, that's all for this video. Next time we'll do Sonic 2 for real. I can't wait to hear what you tell me about Sonic 2's development. It should be pretty easy given how Oshima's time was with Sonic CD.
Wanna bet? I just bought in the last of the design documents Sega let me take while you were venting. They're over there. Take a look.
Oh my god!